did you do yesterday? Talk a little bit about that, and then we'll jump into the slate.
Yeah, for those that weren't here in the late, live before lock, I won the early slate yesterday, the 2-game slate in the 333. Won it by myself with a completely pure 5-3 stack. Remember, 5-3 stack in 2 games, so you got to be pretty perfect. You got to have like the pitchers do well and exactly the hitters do well. You know what I mean? But you can't have any stuff going on.
Yeah,
and it worked out nicely. And in the evening slate, I cashed in the big buy-in. I faded Cole. I went with exactly what I said. I went with a lot of Atlanta, and I paid down for Peterson. And then this is my big buy-in. I did take a shot at the San Francisco thing. I thought it was worth it given the ownership.
yeah.
So that's how I paired my Atlanta. I paired a 5-3 with San Francisco guys who combined those three. I picked combined for like 7 points. So that obviously capped my upside. And obviously it was kind of annoying when Lamont Wade gets subbed out for, but that's what you risk playing San Francisco. Sable, for what it's worth, I mean, he swung hard, man. I mean, I have to say that he did freaking swing to try to win me money. You know, he didn't cheat me. He didn't like try to sacrifice. He was swinging hard. So Luciano, he had a nice hit. I thought he was going to try to steal a base when they were down 1 run.
You were really watching this thing.
Yeah. When it was 3-2, he got on base, and I really thought that he was going to try to steal, but he did not. I was, listen, not that I thought I was going to win. I just happened to have,
Yeah, it's nice. No, it's nice. I mean, the truth is you can't win. You couldn't have won anything. Nobody could win anything big last night if you didn't play Peterson. Actually, you didn't play Cole and Skubal. Cole
Is that what ended up winning?
Every single tournament. Oh, 100%. Yeah, every single tournament.
No, this one.
Oh, that's the smaller buy-in. I meant every field. Like, this is a smaller field. This is a 200-person tournament.
This one's the 555. I don't think this had a Coling anywhere.
Oh, it's literally the top 50 teams in the lottery are Cole, Skubal.
Dude, third place had Sheehan.
But can I point out why? It's because the people didn't play him. He's 6.5% owned.
He was 6% owned.
Yeah, I was angry at myself. I did it in my secondary lineups, but the clear, correct thing when Cole is going to be 6% owned or 7% owned in a good matchup with a team that literally has 4 minor leaguers playing on it. I had no reason not to play Cole and Skubal. When I mentioned it on air, I'm really irritated at myself for not doing it. So that was my story of the night. But we can get into today. There's another day. Fortunately, just one more week for MLB, and I'm going to have to go on a little bit of a run to catch up for what this season has done to me. It's been really, really brutal. But I'm ready to finish strong.
All you need is one.
All you need is one. That's right. And I don't even need to win the full one. It's just been a frustrating year. But anyway, we'll get into it.
And you want to check this out? This is like an insane bit of statistics. So I've been to maybe like 20 Yankee games in the last like 20 years or something. And I'm going to my second one in like a week today.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to the game tonight. So I'm going with Ashley, actually. So we're going to the Yankees-Arizona game. So I will not be around for live.
Nice.
Just a little bit of heads up. But I'm ready to get after the slate.
Yeah, and I'll have my content out early this afternoon. We're going to try and finish this strong after, like I said, a frustrating season for me. So you got the first one up because we got a few games at the same time. You got the first one.
I actually do have the Yankee game up as the first one.
As the first one. There we go.
Yep.
All right. Why don't you just jump into this one and I'll.
So I hate to be the ugly American at the game, but I think Arizona is one of my favorite stacks on the board tonight. Against Luke Weaver, they rate right. They're not as high as Atlanta, Philly, whatever, but right there when you factor in price and everything like that, I have Arizona as very very viable on DraftKings and also pretty viable on FanDuel. And not my top pitcher, but I have the fat guy. He's in my mix as well. So it's the ugly American night for me from a DFS perspective at Yankee Stadium.
DFS MMA
the only person
should be available on SaberSim in a few minutes.
Rooting interest in Arizona, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, I understand. It's horrible hitting conditions. There's probably no way I play anything in this game. A lot of wind blowing in from left center. 66. It's colder than most spots. It just doesn't seem like a game that I really want to target. If I did, I definitely don't mind the Arizona idea. I don't think I'm getting to the Yankees, but I could understand. I just don't see why on an 11-game slate I'm going to play a game with everything against me, as we say. But you do have a cheap Arizona stack, and you've got the lefties shouldn't be as affected by it. So maybe I'll reconsider that one.
What about if you don't like the weather conditions? Do you like the pitching at all?
PFAT, whatever we want to call them these days. I think I have him on my list, but I don't have him very high on my list right now, to be honest.
Fair enough.
All right, so let's move over to Atlanta, Washington. But since you're going, we should probably figure out. You should probably get some sort of a stack. That's the rule, right? You have to stack a little.
No, I'm gonna play. I mean, I'll play. I guess I can't really play MME because I'm gonna be literally traveling to the game while it's, you know what I mean. Like, so I can't really do it. But I'll play one big lineup for sure.
Yeah. So Atlanta, Washington. I'll go real quick here. This is another horrible hitting conditions game. 15-mile-an-hour winds blowing in from center, 68 degrees. Great hitters park, and it is Atlanta. But all things considering that they're going to get some ownership, I actually do think people are just all on the, and for good reason, all on the Atlanta scores a million every night. They're projected to be one of the highest owned teams. It's Patrick Corbin. It's really hard for me to say that Atlanta's not in play, which obviously they are. But I am going to try to fade this game, and I am not quite getting to Charlie Morton as of right now. So I'm pretty much kind of off of it, to be honest with you. And I might regret that because Atlanta is a monster.
I have to say that I feel like sort of a chump. Now, I know what you're going to say. Oh, dude, how can you say that? Whatever it is. But listen, I'm obviously very happy with my successes in baseball this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like sort of a chump because I happened to have played Atlanta last night. Like I said, I was going to. Yeah. For my own reasons, I never really got to Atlanta this year. I mean, this like the biggest like hitting display in like the history of baseball, right? And I haven't really gotten to them that much. Maybe
you're not a chump. But you like the cheap stacks.
I know, but then what happens? So I'm looking last night, and I had like all this Atlanta last night. And I got to see some of this, and boy, it is just like so much more fun just sitting there watching all these Atlanta guys just keep killing the ball. Like from the 1 hitter to the 9 hitter to the 14 hitter, it really seems like the ball just goes farther for them than like the rest of the league. Like you see, like when I have like my normal like idiots from like Kansas City or like whoever that I'm rooting for, and they just like get a hold of one, and I think it's gone, and the guy's on the warning track like going like this. And then I get like Michael Harris, like hitting from the left side, and he hits a ball. It looks like just some random fly ball. And next thing you know, it's like bouncing off the wall. You know what I mean? Like it seemed literally that I'm telling you, there's going to be some scandal come out like 3 years that all of their bats were juiced because it just looks like every one of them hits the ball 50 yards further than everybody else in the league. And it's just so much like chill. You know what I mean? I'm sitting here. I didn't even realize that Cole was like going off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there with all my Atlanta guys, and I'm like never out of contention. And I'm like, why am I not even in first? I'm like, oh, because Cole's going off. You know what I mean? But you see all these Atlanta guys just keep batting the ball all over the goddamn place. I feel like I missed out on something the whole season. But listen, the fact is they've all been 7K for like the last
it's been hard to get them.
You have like these aforementioned 8-9 hitters at like 4,700. You know what I mean? Like so it's not exactly easy. Nonetheless, all right, so you have Corbin, like you said, and it's like looks like the perfect storm, sort of, in that people love to play hitters against Corbin, people love to play Atlanta, but like you said, the weather's not the greatest, and I think they are going to get owned like quite a bit. I might just kind of close my eyes and try to fade this a little bit myself.
Yeah, it's a little weird. By the way, just to point it out, Atlanta has a chance to, I don't think that Arcia does, but everybody else, and Arcia is, what is he hitting for this season?
He's a genius too, like the Arcia also.
I mean, it's really nuts. They do. They have a chance of all 9 of their starting players to hit 20 home runs or more. They already have 7. They've already broke the record with 4 guys who have 35 home runs or more. They've got another one. They have the guy who was the most stolen bases in the last 20 years. And then they've got the guys with 50 home runs in Olsen. Like, it's just like really nuts how good they are. Anyway, so if you want to bet on a team into the weather, Atlanta would probably be your best bet you're ever going to get. Nets and Philly. Sheets, why don't you start this one off?
So I'm not getting to any of the pitching here. I should say that I Taiwan Walker is like just a very marginal play near the bottom of my pitching list. But I got Phillies. Phillies are one of the top 2 stacks. I have them rated right underneath Atlanta. Against the McGill Gorilla here. I don't know what the weather's like over there, but on this slate, that's just kind of what I like. So Philly, both sites, and really none of the pitching.
Yeah, the winds appear to be more of a crosswind, but somewhat blowing in from right. And you can see in these totals, like Atlanta would have like a 7 total if they didn't have the wind blowing against them today. Philadelphia would have probably like a 5.5 or 6 run total. But you've got to, it's just not great hitting conditions. A lot of these spots. So having said that, if the wind changes, I mean, and look, it's a long ways away. There's no reason it has to stay coming at the exact same angle it's at right now. I am more open to the Phillies than any of the other teams we've talked about so far. I didn't get to Taiwan Walker, but maybe I should consider it. I don't know. I didn't have a real feel. It's kind of weird. He's been on slates we haven't had for a while, and he hasn't done anything in forever. But it's the Mets, and you take a shot. But I personally probably am just on the Philly side of this. And even that is minimal. I'm going to have a hard time finding some stacks that I really, really want to play today because I'm sort of just not very enthused by any of the things we've talked about yet. All right. Next up, we have Chicago and Boston. I can jump off with this one. I actually think Chris Sale is a totally fine play, and I think both sides of the offenses here are good with me. Again, though, like a 62 degrees with wind blowing it, it's only slight, but it's crazy that it's everywhere today. I do think Boston is a good stack, though, anyway. It doesn't bother me as much. Prefer the righties. But, I like Boston, and I don't mind if you want to take a bat or two against Sale here. But if you're not playing him, I do have Sale as one of the better pitchers. But I say that, and something about it makes me a little bit nervous against his former team today. He's been very streaky. And hasn't really flashed like the monster upside outside of his last start against Toronto. So I have Sale as okay, but I like the Red Sox as well.
If you feel somewhat nervous about it, I could pretty much assure you that you're going to be very alone in that. I think Sale along with another guy is going to be an incredible chalk build. I think Sale is going to be clearly, if not the top owned, maybe the second highest owned pitcher on the slate. So if you do have any trepidations about it, wanting to take a shot with something like some White Sox, you're definitely going to get a good amount of leverage there.
Yeah, I figured that. Yeah.
And just to kind of separate, I actually have Boston rated a little bit higher on FanDuel than DraftKings. That's like literally the one team that I had a little bit. Actually, there's another. They have a little bit different. So I don't have Boston rated as high on DraftKings as I do on FanDuel, just to kind of throw that in. But yeah, Sale looks like one of the top pitchers, and like you said, he's, he brings it, and he's got some variance. I guess he always has. So yeah, I like him. I wouldn't pair, do a Sale Lopez pairing, with some chalky hitting. You know what I mean? Like for example, but I definitely think Sale's a good play.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Next up, we have Seattle, Texas.
Ooh, who's back? No. I have Baltimore, Cleveland back.
Oh, sorry. I hate these.
I did not even know this guy was in. So Shane Bieber is pitching.
Yeah, it's irrelevant. It's not like
so he's not going to go. I mean, like a full.
No, yeah.
Wow, but that's I did not expect that. I just forgot he existed. Are they in like playoff contention somehow, Cleveland, or no? No.
Yeah, they're. Well, ish. I mean,
well,
I guess after yesterday, they're really not.
There's a reason they're bringing Bieber back. Let's put it that way. I mean,
No. There's no reason. No. They're just letting him get a few innings in and keep his arm going.
Oh no, I just meant like for the season, like in general.
No, it's over. I mean, it's not over. They're 8.5 back with 10 games.
Oh, okay. All right. So nonetheless, I do not have. I don't think. Who do I have? Bieber and Kramer. I'm always down for a little Kramer, but they priced him up now. I don't think I'm going to do that. So I think this game is the first complete cross-off for me. I don't really have anything here.
Nothing for me as well. We can totally move on. Yeah, I don't. I guess. Yeah, no, I'm not going to talk myself into Baltimore. All right, Seattle.
Well, I'll raise you one and say I like nothing in this game. Also, Seattle, Texas. I don't have any Dunning. I don't have any Miller. Seems weird to not have either of these hitting teams. But right now, I don't have either of them listed as top plays.
Yeah, Miller's got pretty good control. I don't know what Seattle does. They just get all these control guys. Pretty good control, which has me a little bit less interested. I don't know. I'm kind of open to I feel like open to both offenses, but I don't feel strongly about either of them. Texas is the same thing. They have a great offense. You could literally play every day and probably have been profitable this year along with Atlanta. But they're expensive, and this is the best lineup. They're releasing their best lineups now. The problem is two of their guys are catchers and all kinds of stuff. So I don't know. I think I'm probably off of it. I think both pitchers are just good enough to keep me off of it as of right now. All right, you got the LA Minnesota game next?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start. So as I mentioned, so I have Lopez as the top pitcher on the slate. Very, very top, highly owned as well. At home against the Angels. That's the least interesting part of this. I guess that could be the interesting discussion if you wanted to get into it was what to do with this D. Daniel. Apparently, he's actually really just not good. But he's just like a not good guy at 4,500. Now I know what you know.
I just think you're listening to someone regurgitate information. I don't know.
No, hold on, hang on.
Yeah.
And I know what you usually say is like you can't just say a guy like this is just not good. You know, he's like a young guy. It's coming from AAA. Just to say he's not good is just kind of ignorant like that. What I was getting at is he's 4,500. So whenever there's a guy that's 4,500, I like to consider it. Just don't know if I need to do it on the slate. If he comes in low owned, I mean, sure, I will take a shot. And then the other side of this, again, Minnesota, I suppose, is going to be in play against this. Whenever these rookie guys come up, I just think that they're interesting things to talk about, whether it's the pitching side or the hitting side, just because he's 4,500. And I figure I'll let you talk about a little more about it.
Yeah, I think that what people say when they say guys like that, because he's 26 and because he hasn't, done anything yet in the major leagues, like he was in limited things. He was absolutely lights out in the AAA. I think I have no reason to think that there's going to be any sort of leash for him or that he'll be able to get through innings quickly. It is something to consider, though. I just don't know what we're getting from the savings, I guess, as much today. Pablo Lopez is the top pitcher on the slate on the other side. The Daniel thing, I just don't. I'm really like he threw 66 pitches his first time out. He pitched 3 innings. There's no reason to think he's going to do much more than that. But at the same time, if everything's going perfectly and Minnesota's a high strikeout team, I think that's worth playing. At the same time, Minnesota's stack makes a little bit of sense to me. And also another game where 10 miles an hour wind blowing in from center field. It's every game today. So maybe I just have to just forget about it and maybe not worry about home runs or power, which is really weird. It's really pretty rare that all but like 2 games have bad hitting weather. So I think I know what I'm going to end up doing, but I like the Twins a little bit, and I like Lopez a lot. That's pretty much where I'm at on this one.
I have another comment about this. Now, I'm sure that because baseball and baseball analysis is just so insanely data driven, and there's like a spreadsheet for everything, and there's like a stat for everything. This has all been kind of factored in. But I would like to say, I just noticed that the Angels affiliate AAA is in Salt Lake, and Salt Lake is really high elevation. It's almost like Coors over there. So all stats from like Salt Lake should be probably adjusted in some way.
He had a 1.6 ERA. I don't really know how much better he could be.
That's what I'm saying. But you know what I mean? Like if you have that kind of numbers in Salt Lake, I mean that's got to be pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean even in limited sample, and you know what? When limited sample is recent, maybe sometimes we should lean into that limited sample. You know what I mean? So maybe there's more of an argument for Daniel as we think. You're kind of selling me on the point. Yeah, maybe.
I'm selling you. I just noticed Salt Lake.
Well, it's not like we're thrilled about all the other spend ups today. So like, why wouldn't we take a gamble on somebody? That's the right kind of slate to do it, right? When you don't think someone else is going to put up 30 taking a guy who might get you 12 or 15 is certainly viable at 4,500.
All right. So speaking of the guy that can get you 30, okay. All right. So we have Houston against Kansas City, and Valdez always is not the best play on the slate, but he's always like the second best play on the slate, it seems. So he's always seems to be the natural pivot off of what's of someone else around him, and I don't think today's any exception. He's got a good matchup in general. He brings his innings. He's a really good pitcher, and he can score just as much as Lopez. I mean, he just can. So it's certainly not going to be earth shattering. I think people are going to play him. I don't think he's going to be as highly owned as Lopez, but I think that people are going to play him, and it certainly makes sense. And listen, I don't want to remind everybody that the leader of the free world is pitching on the other side, like the Cole Reagans. He like had that 3-game stretch where he was like the freaking man. You know what I mean? And they reward him with like 100+ pitches every game since then. He just went against this team in his last start and gave up 6 hits and 5 runs. He did get 7 strikeouts in the 6 innings though, and they did let him go 100 pitches. He's definitely, pricier than he was when he had that run, which makes sense. I mean, you reward him with a tougher price tag, but he's down a little bit from where he has been. And I don't know. I think I'll take some shots. It's certainly not the easiest thing to do to play pitchers against Houston in Houston, but I don't know, just something to do. He certainly doesn't project like a good play. I don't know. I'm just kind of in the mood.
Wait, you're talking about Reagans?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think that he's always a tournament play. I like the back-to-back, though. I'm taking Houston's side on this one. I actually really do like Reagans. The bullpen behind him is terrible.
Sure.
I don't, he's had a really good year, man. Like, he bounced back really strong after like a slow start, and even in some of these outings, like you see where he's getting hit, the strikeouts are really there. He's really ramped up those strikeouts. And actually, I shouldn't even say slow start. They just really weren't starting him. Once he started starting, he's been kind of awesome. Like,
yeah,
he's
right.
probably been a top 20 pitcher. Like, I do have Houston though as a team that I want to get after a little bit today. You just tell me Houston against the lefty, another must win, and they've let us down enough. I may as well let them let me down one more time before the season's over. So every time I see a lefty against Houston, I get excited, and then I'm like, inning number 6, and they still have they have 1 hit or something. Anyway, but I kind of like Houston, and I'm not getting to Valdez, which is sort of like what always happens with me initially, and then I sort of force him in sometimes. I don't know if I'm going to force him in today, but he's certainly in play against KC. All right, what do we got next?
We have Detroit and Oakland, and I'll just kind of, I'll lead into the later games in this way as well. So you see this little gap is an 8-10 game, and then there's an hour and a half before these late games. I'm sure there's probably some nights late or something like that. If you wanted to just ignore the first stuff, which you can't, which it's kind of hard to do as far as whatever goes. This is not for the week, but you have 2 kind of crappy hitting teams, right? Detroit and Oakland. I think you could play either of these pitchers or both, and then get up to like Dodgers and Padres later. And we'll get to those guys later. But I'm just kind of looking at it from an OCD perspective. I'm looking at the 2 slates, like this side and this side. I can't imagine playing a guy with the 3 names here like this, but the S. Gibson Long. But listen, he's if I'm not mistaken, he had 11 strikeouts this last game in 5 innings. I mean, he's got to have something, right? I mean, like I know it's a no sample, whatever it is, but I don't know. I'll take a shot. So I like him. Waldichuk is fair enough. I don't know. Maybe this Gibson Long guy is the nuts. I don't know. What do you think of that?
Yeah, good for them for giving him literally the nut matchups his first 3 starts.
Yes, you love it, right?
Angels and Oakland.
Yes.
I guess he's got to face Detroit next or KC or something.
Right.
But I don't know. I can definitely try to sell myself on it. I'm probably not going to do either of those things. I actually think taking some hitters here is probably where I would be a little bit more interested. But on the Tiger side, like you're gonna get a really cheap, a very cheapest stack, by the way, with the Tigers, with guys like Ibanez and Jake Rogers at the towards the top of the order at 2.8 and 2.9. You can play any pitcher you want. You got all the value in the world. I think I might be talking myself into doing a little bit of the Tiger thing tonight. So I certainly wouldn't fault anybody. You have a game with an 8 total between Gibson, Long, and Waldachuk. We're going to play pitchers in a lot higher total games than this. So I certainly am not going to fault anybody for playing either of these guys personally. Boy, that's an ugly Tigers lineup that I'll be betting on, but I think I still may do it. All right, St. Louis and San Diego, Sheets. You're off since these seem to be the ones.
Yeah, so I have San Diego as I kind of have them like 5th or something like that as like my favorites, 4th or 5th. By the way, I do agree with you with the you mentioned the Tigers. I actually like the Oakland side as well. I don't know if you said Oakland also, but I definitely like the Oakland side as far as value goes. But yeah, I got San Diego, and then listen, they always got those same guys who will tilt you a little bit. But Tatis, Soto, is Machado still out? Now Machado's back in. Yeah, I mean, I think these guys are. I like them like 4th or 5th best, and I don't have any Cardinals, and I'm not getting to any of the pitching.
Yeah, it's funny because I had the same take that you did, but then I started wondering why don't I have any Cardinals?
Okay.
Just because I don't like a lot on this slate. Why am I supposed to be afraid of Matt Waldron? It's a downgrade for St. Louis, but like it's not a huge deal. And you do again 68 degrees with little 5-mile-an-hour winds blowing in from left field. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, same story. I still have the Padres high, and I have St. Louis in consideration, but I do like the. I'm going to be pretty high on these late games. I don't think I'm going to mess around much with the hitting in the early games, just based on what I'm doing right now. Yeah. Anyway,
so if you didn't like any of that, there's always the Dodgers at 10:30 or 10 o'clock. They're always there. You have Minaya, who's allegedly starting. Okay, sounds fair enough. The thing that always bothers me about playing the Dodgers is something you said, like forever, is that whenever they play San Francisco just does whatever they possibly can, whether it's enough or not, to win the game. You know what I mean? And it's frustrating. You know what I mean? Like you never get the matchup you want. You know what I mean? They never give up. Like they're not the ones that are gonna, when they're down 7 runs, they're not the ones that are gonna bring in the freaking third baseman to pitch. They're gonna scratch and claw for every inning.
Right.
Which put your hitters at risk as far as getting subbed out, and it put your hitters at risk for not getting the matchup that you might otherwise get. Let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, I'm always down, man. I mean, listen. I know you like the Dodgers, so maybe you play them more than a lot of other people. But I've gotten used to just always having some. And maybe this is not the right way to analyze, but it's kind of nice, like late in the evening, to have always have a chance for the Dodger 10 ball to come piling in. What can I tell you? What can I tell you? Now you get to play Chris Taylor, 3,400, I guess. And then you pay up for the normal dudes, see who else gets into the lineup. Maybe Kiki Hernandez, save you a little bit of money. But yeah, I'm down with that. It looks like a Dodger bullpen game. The Ferguson, the Yarborough, who's basically a professional PLR. And I don't know if I'll go back to the San Francisco idea tonight. If you think that I should, I'll probably take your word for it. But yeah, I definitely like the Dodgers.
Yeah, so I'm going to point out that Sean Manaea has started, and it's not all been his fault. I don't know how many times he's actually started. I think he started more than this, but I know in 4 starts consecutively, the Dodgers scored 14 runs or more when he started.
Oh my God.
No, it's not an exaggeration. It's actually a crazy fact. And I don't know which, what happened the other ones. I know they've crushed him overall. He can't get any of them out. He can't strike any of them out. I like the Dodgers. I hope they announce Manaea as the actual starter. And Manaea can make me eat my words. Like he's skilled enough to have like 5 good innings and shut them down or something like that. But I am going to go back to the Dodgers and they're my favorite stack of the night. And maybe I do play them more, but it's not just because I'm a Dodger fan. It's because they're always 1/4 as owned as Atlanta, and they're a team that scores the second most. They're the second best offense in baseball. That's always significantly less owned than the best offense in baseball. So it's actually, I think that if there's one thing I do right, I feel like it's playing the Dodgers a lot. The problem is you do have to run into the pinch hit risk. We have to wait for the lineup. Who knows if that comes out early today? I think it might. And I think that it's interesting to see whether them in Atlanta, what they do, because they're 3.5 separated for the best record in baseball. And there's enough games left where they could actually make that up, the Dodgers. But I don't know. And Atlanta's been playing their guys. The Dodgers have been playing their guys. We'll see what happens at one point. That may change, but my guess is it's probably not going to be till next week. So I will say yes to the Dodgers, and I will also say I like some of the Giants for a little bit. I like the Mitch Haniger value. I like Austin Slater at 2,800 if he ends up leading off, because the Dodgers are going to go lefty. So if they open with Ferguson and then they use Yarbrough after, then you have a better feeling of the righty staying in the game a little bit longer. And then you get to, you could throw in Wilmer Flores, make it a 4-man. Patrick Bailey is only 2,700. Matos is only 2,400. Really depends on how the lineup shakes out. And the Giants, I promise you, will have their lineup out later than the Dodgers today. They always do. So we might not see either of these lineups till late, and no one's going to I don't think that these are going to be extremely high owned by any means. The Dodgers have not been as great against lefties. I think Mookie will get ownership. And I don't really know who else from the Dodgers is getting owned on this one. Why, for some reason, can I not get – this is really weird. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Let's see the goal there. Yeah, Dodgers. I've only got Mookie above – the only player above 7% owned. I'm in on it. My favorites for this whole slate are – I like the Dodgers, and I like Houston, and I like San Diego, and then I like Detroit and San Francisco either for pieces as a part of a mini stack or potentially even for a full stack in the case of Detroit. Those are my favorites. My pitcher right now, all I know that I'm doing is probably playing Lopez in my biggest buy-in, and you can do that with the Dodgers because there's going to be some value. And the Dodgers, they still may pinch hit for all those guys, but there's a little less motivation for them to do it as much, especially if they're up big. And also they just don't need to, make sure all those other guys get at bats as much. Like, I don't know. They don't need to do it because they're not like playing like desperation baseball right now. But I do have Lopez, and then I'm just sort of trying to figure out who my second pitcher is probably going to be. The guys I'm considering right now, Sale, Valdez on the high end, PFAT. I am kind of sold a little bit on this Daniel idea, and I might try on the Sawyer Gibson long thing against Oakland.
Yeah. My favorites right now are, as far as hitting goes, Atlanta, Philly, Arizona, and the Dodgers. As far as pitching, I have Lopez and Sale at the top, but all those doodads underneath, like Daniel, Waldichuk, Fat, whatever the long guy is. I'll play those guys before like the Walkers, and I don't think I'm going to get to Charlie Morton today. So it's Lopez, Sale, the obvious ones. I'm not getting to Valdez, I don't think. Maybe that's a mistake. But for me, it's kind of like a clear cut. Either Lopez and Sale at the top, and then all those. And I'll throw Reagan's in the mix, that 7,800 guy with some upside. Maybe he can get Tucker and Alvarez strike out a couple of times. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, so I'll be live at 6 Eastern. I probably won't have my content up till this afternoon. Guys, please keep liking the videos. We appreciate it. Even on the thing last night, we had a lot of people in there. Brandon Cruz has been awesome for the Showdown slate, so I want to give a little shout out to him.
Oh, really? He's been playing the Showdown slates?
Yeah, and he's been posting his exposures in the Discord premium.
Nice.
Which has been, and he's been doing really well. We've been battling it out a few times. It's been fun, but really great guy, and great to have him as a part of the community. I do want to give a little shout out to my dad, whose birthday it is, and
hey,
it's his birthday, and it's the 22nd of the month, which is my little lucky number thing. So if there's a day that I should be lucky, maybe today is the day. Anyway, good luck to everyone tonight, and